Why is confidence key? Well, it's because we often mistake confidence for intelligence. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and this is going to be a bit of a ramble because, well, quite frankly, it's how I make my money. Not at all how I make my money. It's not even a little bit how I make my money. It's how I'm trying to make my money. Currently, it's a very expensive hobby that I hope will one day convert to making me money. We'll work on it. But why do we mistake charisma for intelligence? Well, first off, we have to define our terms. What is intelligence, in fact? Look, people define it in many different ways. There's a dictionary definition of it, but we're not going to bother with that because if we were just going by the dictionary definition of things, quite frankly, there would be no Twitter because people would not have to argue on the internet about things. Seriously, if you open up Twitter right now, you will find people arguing, and they will be using the exact same word, but completely different definitions of it, and neither of the definitions will be the correct definition of the word. It makes people happy. So, let them be happy. Let them do their thing. But when we talk about intelligence, we have to be careful how we parse out what we mean. Because, for example, we could be talking about simply raw intelligence or IQ points. But IQ points, it's like the horsepower in an engine, right? You can have a 400, I'm not a big car guy, but forgive me if I misstep on some of this. You could have a 400 horsepower engine that can get you up to 200 miles an hour and barely ever go over 30. You can have a lot of IQ points and be very, 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 very stupid. You can actually also have less IQ points and be much more intelligent. Because we've talked about this before on the podcast, effort will usually beat simply raw talent. And we're going to call IQ points kind of the talent quotient of the brain. That's what they are, but for simplicity purposes, let's talk about IQ as the talent quotient of the brain. So intelligence can't just be a measure of IQ. Is it degrees? Well, quite frankly, no. Because while degrees can be very useful, and they are a useful barometer in terms of credentialing people, meaning it's more likely that somebody with a degree in, for example, political science will have a useful opinion on politics or international relations. It is more likely. It is not always the case, however. For example, a member of a country's military who has served for 40 years could have a very, 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 very useful perspective on international relations, on politics, on geopolitics, simply because they've practically lived that. Somebody who worked their way up at the UN is going to know a lot more about how the UN actually works rather than somebody who's never worked at the UN but has only studied its mechanisms. Now, they may both have valid points. They may both have valid opinions on the subject. But it's going to depend on how you weigh their credentialing mechanisms that you're going to get stuck in whether or not they're intelligent with that marker. So we know that that's not quite capturing what we mean either. So where does charisma come into all this? Charisma is, there's a dictionary definition, but when we talk about charisma, it's kind of half confidence itself. Confidence just being the ability to articulate ideas without fear. Let's call it that. I mean, there's confidence in everything, right? We're talking about specifically confidence related to matters of intellect, but if you were to talk about confidence on the basketball court, for example, you take a shot without fear. You are unafraid of making a move really without looking in terms of a defensive slide. That's really more for my sports people than people who don't watch sports. In music, confidence is reflected in not being afraid to do a kind of crazy run in the middle of something, even if you've never necessarily specifically practiced that run before, because you are confident in the way the song progresses and what you're doing. Now, confidence can occasionally get you, I'm going to say the phrase confidence can occasionally get you, do I have to say unalived YouTube? I don't know. Confidence can occasionally get you in trouble because you can, even if you think you can do it, you can be overconfident. You can take a 3-point shot from the logo, even though you have no business taking a 3-point shot from the logo. You can do a crazy run on a song and have no business doing that run. Good, bad, or ugly, that's just the truth. So when we come down to matters of just pure intellect, like people who sit on cable news panels where they have to talk and they don't have any kind of aids to help them, they have to just rely on the things they know, charisma and confidence are key because they have to continuously present information. And the only way they're going to do that and still be on air is if they do it in such a way that it is engaging. Charisma is the engaging portion of confidence. It's the engaging portion of confidence. It is when you look at a public speaker and you're not even listening to almost the subject matter of what they're saying. You're just magnetically drawn to what they're doing up on that stage. Something just draws you in. And if there's somebody who's actually trying to deliver information, it draws you in and you can process the information at your own pace. It delivers the information in such a way that you want to keep thinking about what they said. And as you keep thinking about what they said, you process that information over and over again. Now, some people use their charisma, and this is where we're getting into why charisma is mistaken for intelligence. Because people who are charismatic and confident can often mask the fact that they don't actually know what they're talking about by simply being charismatic and confident. Fake it till you make it is great, unless you are literally just faking it. Right? Like, you at some point, rubber does meet the road. Except in areas where charisma and confidence are really the key selling points. Like cable news, where you have to talk for 24 hours. And quite honestly, the producers don't care about accuracy. They don't. They have shareholders. They're public corporations. And they have to sell ads in order to deliver value to their shareholders. And how do they sell ads? By having engaging, confident newscasters, opinion people. The more confident and charismatic, the better. Whether or not there's anything actually behind it is not sometimes the best thing. Sometimes the smartest people on the planet can't speak for a lick. They have no confidence. You see this a lot in terms of physicists and engineers and a lot of the STEM people. They really just don't like being in the public spotlight. They're very engaging in their groups and in their areas. They write excellent papers, but they have a hard time engaging a broader audience because the stuff they're dealing with is so complex and they don't want to misspeak. In areas like political science, a lot of the academics also don't do a lot of public speaking, or if they do, it's in front of a political science crowd that they know has a base of knowledge. For cable news anchors, it's not that. Public speakers, it's not that. When you listen to people, do your best to brush away the charisma. You want to listen to somebody who's charismatic. You have a right to be entertaining. But do your best to brush away the charisma and listen to the substance of what they're saying. Don't be fooled by somebody who just speaks confidently and happens to have a microphone. For those of you who are listening on Spotify, I just pointed at myself to give you the hint that just because I don't say a lot, you should really think about the substance of what I'm saying. And as I always say, take what I say with a gigantic grain of salt. Ladies and gentlemen, I am 10 minutes with Nick, and I am currently at 10 minutes and 15 seconds. So I must be done. Today is a late podcast. I'll try to get the next one up earlier tomorrow. But, I'm just a man. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.